video, we're going to take a look at how to fit skirts. We're going to start with this mini skirt. We have a couple of options here to take in the waist, to taper the sides, and to take up the hem. Let's start with the waist. We can either take in through the sides by pinching out the right amount along equally both sides. We can pin or mark as usual, just like that. And we want to take this, see if we have trouble getting the pin in. That's when we know we want to use the chalk. In this suede-like material, we're definitely going to want to mark it instead of pinning it. Great. Our other option is to take a look at the back. If we have a center back seam or a zipper like this, we can pinch the amount out that we'd like. And with the zipper, because she'll need to get out of the skirt, we'll want to mark with the chalk on either side. Or we can place a pin to mark that amount, keeping note that it will be taken out equally on either side. So we want to make sure we don't make that too tight and ask them, how does that feel? And let them move around a little to make sure that that's a comfortable fit there. We'll merge this out smoothly throughout the center back seam so that we don't get any kind of weird puckers. But that's the easiest way for us to go in, either through the side or through the back to take that waist in. Now let's take a look at the side of the skirt. So here we are at the side of the skirt. If she'd like to taper it and give it a little bit of a tighter fit here, we're going to start at the hem and start pinning out the amount from both sides again equally to make that a little bit of a tighter fit. So we'll come up, merging this new line into the original side seam so that we can make a smooth transition as we're tightening it up. Great. And if we get up into that zipper and that gives us any trouble, then we can always just pin on one side, knowing that we'll take equal amounts out from both sides of the seam. Great. Last, let's take a look at the hem. On this hem, we have this band detail, which is pretty, and we will keep. But to give us an idea of where we want that new hemline to sit, we'll still fold the fabric up under and assure the customer that we'll remove that band or detail and put it back on at the new length. So we're just going to tuck that fabric up under, giving the customer a couple of different options in the mirror and settling on the right length and pinning that in place. We don't need to pin that all the way around, just enough for the customer to be able to see what the new length is going to look like. Another skirt waist option that we often see in the shop is this elastic waist. This elastic has been sewn in quite a few times. So to be able to pin it to the correct width, we want to pinch either on the side or in the back enough to where it feels comfortable and tight. And we'll ask the customer, how does this feel? And if we can't get the pin through the elastic, again, we'll use the chalk. But we just want to get it tight enough, and we will distribute this amount evenly throughout the elastic waist when we're altering the skirt. Next, let's take a look at this flowy wrap style skirt with a side opening. We have a few options for closing up this opening, such as snaps or hooks, even buttons that we can place here to keep this from floating open in the wind. Next, let's take a look at the hem. We're going to start on this flat side here because it gives us an easy edge of fabric to turn up. Placing our first pin, that'll hold that in place so that we can start moving along the hemline. Now, I'm taking this hand here to tuck the excess fabric up underneath so we can start holding that in place and looking at the amount of fabric we're holding up, trying to get it even and balanced as much as we can so that we can give the customer a good idea of what it's going to look like. It is okay if the excess fabric being tucked up is not exact because we're going to measure that later. Our goal is to make it close enough so that she can see the new length and be able to confidently tell us that, yes, that's what I want, that is what I'm looking for. So I'm pinning across the front so that she can see that in the mirror in front of her. And I'm trying to sit so that I'm out of her way enough so that she can see. We can also see on this side of the skirt the original length, and that gives her an opportunity to compare it and say, yes, that is what I'm going for, or no, I'd like it quite a bit shorter than that. So our goal was to pin as much as is necessary to give them an idea, but not to spend too much time pinning all the way around because we do have so much fabric. And that length does look great. Here we have a sequin skirt, and despite the embellishments, the alterations are pretty much the same. If the waist is too large, we're going to pin out the right amount along a side seam or a back seam. And for the hem, we're just going to pin this up like any other skirt, up to the length that the customer prefers, and placing our pins. Now, we see here that we have a lining, so we want to address the outer layer first, pinning around the front and the side to give them a good idea of what that new length is going to look like. And then we'll come back to address the lining. I'm going to put one more pin here in the front so that we really can see exactly where it's going to hit. Great. And then we're going to come underneath to the lining here. I'm going to look at this and see that I've pinned up about 1.5 inches. And I'm going to try to do the same on the lining. However, when we go back to sew, we are going to take the exact same amount off of the inner as the outer. So again, we're pinning to give the customer an idea of what it looks like, but if the measurement isn't exact, that's fine, because we're going to go back and measure it later. We just want them to be able to see the new length and the pin lining all as one to make sure that they like it.